here is Representative Adam Kinzinger on with Jake Tapper. This is the State of the Union on Sunday. And Kinzinger apparently is very, very concerned about the fate of democracy, except for the voting part.
I know you're worried about protecting democracy, and you've been very outspoken. You have opposed both bills from the Democratic Party that are intended to strengthen protection for voters, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, a bill reinstating the Justice Department's power to block some states and localities from enacting what they view as discriminatory voting rules. Why did you not support those bills? And is there a bipartisan effort that you and other Republicans could get behind that could actually protect the rights of voters and get through the House and Senate for President Biden to sign?
No.
I certainly hope there is. I think there is. I think there's been discussions in the Senate from last I've heard. Look, you can call a bill the Voting Rights Act, and then left-wing Twitter goes nuts about this, by the way, and they can say you voted against voting rights without even looking to the details of this. So the quick details, you know, the Voting Rights Act in the mid-60s came out with a temporary provision called pre-clearance, which required certain states to get clearance for any changes to any election system that they did. That went on into perpetuity. It was intended to be temporary. In 2013, the U.S. Supreme Court threw that provision out and said, history changes. We can't keep pretending like it's 1965. And so for the last 8 years, we have not had that provision in. The John Lewis Voting Rights Act would simply put to re-implement that provision to have, again, the Justice Department make any approval to any changes. By the way, that would have been the Trump Justice Department and anything like that. So yes, we can get to a solution. The problem is, I admonish my side all the time about playing politics. The Democrats have to quit playing politics on some of this too. You can call it the For the People's Act, which was the other one, and really what that is public funding for campaigns, among other whole host of things. If we actually went into this as adults with real discussions, I think we can solve stuff. But instead we just wait for these Twitter comments of, Adam voted against whatever, and then I can put a bill out there, the God and Puppies Act, and see people vote against that and say they're against God and puppies.
We only have a few seconds.
I'm sorry.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Wait. This is just a piece of information that Jake Tapper did not get to, because he only had a few seconds left, apparently, was this bill that Kinzinger made sound like was temporary. It very well, I mean, it sunsetted or had sunset provisions, but it was reauthorized by 98-2 in the Senate in 2007. That was incidentally a Republican-controlled Senate, if I remember correctly, in 2002. Just look at when the Voting Rights Act was reauthorized by a completely controlled Senate. I think the Democrats had House. I think it was in 2007.
And then when he mentions 8 years ago, what happened 8 years ago that got rid of that very voting rights, that protection in the Voting Rights Act? It was Shelby.
Yes, and the Supreme Court overturned it, and so this isn't just a made up. Where do they get the name Voting Rights Act? Well, it's because it reinstates the Voting Rights Act that was reauthorized by Congress in 2007 and was stripped by what he would, in any other context, call an activist judge who literally said, Congress is probably too afraid to let this lapse. So the Scalia said this. Too afraid to let this elapse.
Yes, he read into the emotional intentions of people in Congress. And in his opinion, did he not also
it was 2006. Both chambers were Republican.
Right. And then in that opinion in 2013 by Scalia, he also pontificated about the pressures and the emotional well-being of members of Congress back in the day when they passed it, if I'm not mistaken, and currently, as if that has anything to do with like his textualist constitutional ideology. It's ridiculous. So, I mean, I'm reading between the lines here. Kinzinger doesn't like that it's called the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and then he compares that to being a babies and puppies bill. That's kind of what I mean. That's a little insulting. They name it after John Lewis because he was a civil rights hero, and it's reinstating that very provision from Shelby.
His argument is that the substance of the bill does not reflect the title of the bill, and in fact, it
100% does.
Do it any more than that. Couldn't do it any more than that.
One of the good ones, Kinzinger.
There you go. Yes.
Standing up for democracy.